And we're going to go live.
Don't say.
This is what I really need Emily for, is because she can introduce stuff without sounding like a complete weirdo. And that's just not my strength.
Introduce yourself.
So if you are, let's see, if you are watching this, you probably already know who I am because you're on my Facebook page. If not, my name is Casey Compton, and I just launched the book Fix This Next for Healthcare Providers. And I have with me today a very special guest, Tara, who is our Fix This Next for Healthcare Providers captain of that ship. So Tara, would you like to say hey and introduce yourself quickly?
Sure. Hi, I'm Tara. I'm captain of the Fix This Next for Healthcare Provider ship. There you go. So I'll be doing
what is a captain of a ship?
Consulting.
There you go.
Captain of the ship. Okay, so not in, like literal captaining a ship terms, because I would sink the boat. In this metaphorical sense, it means I will do all the consulting for anything related to Fix This Next for healthcare providers. So any sort of like group offerings, any sort of downloads, any sort of video webinars, any sort of one-on-one consulting, I'll be heading that up.
Okay, so I'm sure everyone is wondering, if you are the captain, where is your uniform?
It's in the laundry. It's dirty right now. Yeah,
because captains don't do their own laundry, right?
I don't do my own laundry, and yeah, it's not available right now. Sorry.
Okay, so tune in next time
for a skipper hat.
Okay, so what we wanted to do is just take about 10-15 minutes today to go through one of the foundational concepts of the healthcare hierarchy of needs, and really help people who may find themselves stuck in this core need of their business to get unstuck quickly. This is the one thing that gets people hung up. A lot of times they don't even know it's a problem until it's a problem. And so what we want to do is talk about that a little bit today, and then talk about some of the things that we most commonly see happening with business owners that have this problem. So just as a quick little, update. If you have not read Fix This Next for Healthcare Providers, in the book, you're going to find something called the Healthcare Hierarchy of Needs, which is an adaptation to Mike Michalowicz's business hierarchy of needs. In the healthcare hierarchy of needs, we're going to focus on the 3 core foundational levels of any business, which is sales on the bottom, profit, and order. And they're going to make a nice little triangle. So what that basically means is, on that foundational level of sales, you are going to, this is the infrastructure in a way, like this is the bloodline. This is where everything comes through to support your business. And without it, you really don't have a business to begin with. And so what the framework says is that we always must shore up the needs in the lowest level before working towards needs on a higher level. So the lowest level is sales. The first core need in that foundational level is lifestyle congruence. So that's why we're going to start there. Any thoughts about that, Tara, before we get going?
No thoughts other than I think some of the content in the sales level is overlooked. Totally. Like if you don't have this framework and you're thinking about, well, I have sales, but then they're like the specific components of the sales level, I feel like they get overlooked.
Yeah, I think so too. And it may be a good time to let me just go through those 5 core needs in the sales level. We're not going to talk about all of those today. We're not going to have time, but we will hit all of these through these video series. So this one just happens to be lifestyle congruence. The first core need in the sales level is lifestyle congruence. The second core need is prospect and provider attraction. So that's basically, are you attracting enough of the right customers or clients into your practice? And one thing that you will find that's different as well on in this level is we added provider attraction, because most healthcare businesses are struggling. They either have too many clients and not enough providers, or too many providers and not enough clients. And so I think it's important that it's not just leads, it's also employees. So that's the second. The third is client conversion. So are you converting enough of the right leads into your practice? The fourth is delivering on commitments. This one, in my opinion, is the biggest one and probably the most important, because if you are not doing what you say you're going to do, then you're kind of sucking. And that's something that our ego gets in the way about a lot. And I know whenever I took the assessment on my own, when I got to number 4, where it was delivering on commitments, I don't know what you did, Tara, but I was like, well, yeah, sure. We're doing that.
No, I did not.
You did not do that? Oh, I did.
No,
I was like,
that's the one that I
yeah.
always get stuck on. Yeah. How do you know? That's my question always. I was like, no, how do I know? How do I know that I'm
That's
doing
right.
this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, see, I just, I guess, have a bigger ego. I'm like, well, of course we're doing everything we say we're going to do. I mean, of course. But
Yeah.
most places don't. And, think about when you go to your doctor's office, think about the things that just irritate the crap out of you. Like, are you sitting in there in the waiting room for an hour? You have no idea how long it's going to take you to get back there to see the doctor. That's annoying. Or, do you finally get back there to see the doctor and then you have to wait 45 more minutes for the doctor to actually show up in the room? That's annoying. Just little things like that. I mean, you as a practice owner are making commitments to your clients or your patients, and you have to really ask yourself, what are those commitments? Because, like Tara said, most people don't even really know what they are committing to
Yep.
these people. And then the last core need in the sales level is collecting on commitments. And essentially, this one just means, are you getting paid? What's your AR look like? What's your aging? How's the cash flow? And obviously that's important, because without that, you can't sustain, you can't move into
Yep.
the profit level. So those are the 5 core needs in the sales level. So today we're just going to talk about lifestyle congruence. And lifestyle congruence says, do you know what your billable sessions or services must be in order to support your personal financial comfort level? So you want to talk about a little bit about that, Tara, before we get into it, the nitty gritty?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like this question is deceptively looks simple and it's not. So if you're a solo practitioner and you're using the HHN assessment and you're sort of going through these questions, that answer is going to be way easier. In my mind, that answer is way easier. It's like, oh yeah, how many clients do I need to see in order to, take home the money that I need to take home? But then if you are a group practice owner, it's not as simple as how many clients do you need to see. It's the math isn't as simple. And not that it's not simple once you can break it down, but I think that's my main first thought is like, this question seems easy, but it's not. It's not like
Mm-hmm.
surface level easy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Because when you are in a solo type setting, whether you're a dentist or you're a chiropractor or whatever you may be, you pretty much know how many patients you need to see because you can
Yes.
math, right?
Yep.
Like you can math. Um, but whenever you are adding more providers to your group, it isn't that easy because it's not
Hmm.
really about you anymore. And it's also not really about them either, because all of the math changes,
Hmm.
your overhead changes, everything changes. And so it's not necessarily about, oh, I have 2 other dentists in my practice, they need to see, as many as I did in order for me to make enough money, because that's not always the case.
Right.
If it costs more support staff, or you have to have more non-revenue producing employees in the practice to support those dentists. So yeah, I think you're right. People do get hung up on this one because it's not always as simple, or they just don't take the time to think about it.
Yeah, and then it makes me wonder if initially you're thinking about it in terms of like actual numbers of dollars, but once
Mm-hmm.
you continue growing, then it's almost like you have to start thinking about it in terms of percentages.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's
Yeah,
not, yeah, it's not a number like it's not a number anymore. It's a percentage. I
right.
guess the percentage is a number, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, yeah. And we talk about that in the book, because you're right. Like, once you do start to grow and once your business starts to scale, um, if you're only focusing on the number, you're going to have to constantly change it. You're going to have to
Hmm.
constantly redo that number, because if any little change in the business is going to change the number. And so if you
Yes.
can start converting everything into percentages,
Yeah.
then percentages, since they are relative, don't have to change. You can set
Yeah.
a blanket percentage and then just go with it as time goes on.
Hmm.
Yeah, good point. So I'll just read just a little section here about lifestyle congruence, and then we can talk about that. It says here in the book, the presenting problem and or symptoms. Have you ever felt like you were winging it? Like back in those college days when you weren't super clear on how many classes you actually had to show up for, how many homework assignments you needed to turn in, and how many tests you needed to make at least a C on in order to pass? I'm sure nobody else ever did that, but
I don't relate to that at all. Oh my
like
God.
how many of these classes do I actually have to come to just to pass?
Seriously, which one am I actively going to skip later on in the semester?
Yeah. I need to plan all of this out ahead of time. Most business owners show up to work and do the best they can, but don't have a clear-cut goal to work toward in order to pay their bills and live the life they want to live. If this sounds familiar, you could be feeling a sense of confusion, uncertainty, or doubt. You may even feel like your business's numbers are a mystery. That's a really good symptom. You know they're there, but you're not sure how to interpret them. You may feel inadequate when someone asks you the question, do you know how many billable sessions per week your practice must have in order to support your personal financial comfort level? So, personal financial comfort level is really about what do you need to live? How much money do you need to live? Now, this isn't necessarily how much do you want. This is based on your lifestyle. How much do you need? Did you know that? Do you know that? How long did it take you to know that?
Like the actual number of how much do I need, or
Mhm.
figuring out lifestyle congruence?
The lifestyle
Um,
congruence. Yeah, just
do I know that?
I can tell you right now, if you ask me this, if I took the assessment right now and I had to tell you how many sessions minimum my practice had to have in order for me to pay all my bills and to feed my kids, I probably couldn't tell you. I mean,
Yeah, I don't.
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I took it last month, and I think I tried to. Did I take it? I took the HHN recently. It was either at the end of last month, and I think I got hung up there where I was like,
Mhm.
I don't know. Like, I'm not sure if I do know this. And my
Mhm.
thought is that if it's an I don't know or I'm not, I think, then it's probably a no. Like, you
Yeah,
can't mark
right.
yes unless you for sure know that it's yes. See, I'm going to
Right.
say no. I don't know.
Yeah.
I
I'm
have
going to
an
say no too.
approximate guess, but I don't.
That's the beauty of the HHN assessment is that it's not meant to be a one and done. It's meant to be an ongoing self-reflection that you're asking yourself these questions because, sometimes I will get into the habit of thinking, well, if it's fine now, then I don't really need to know. Like, do I really need to know if it's okay? But I think that whenever we get into that type of thinking pattern, it is a little scary because things can change so quickly that I believe we always have to keep our thumb on the pulse. And if we don't know what that number is, then we're setting ourselves up. And also, if we don't know what that number is, how are we keeping an accurate baseline and how are we setting
Yeah.
goals?
Yes. Well, and then also if you're taking that, I think about it even like across the whole HHN assessment, across all of it, is that if you're taking that mindset and applying it to this question, how many other questions are you applying it to? And
Mm-hmm.
so it's not just, like if you're sort of like, well, I don't really, I kind of know this, so it's fine. Okay, if you do that with half of the questions, and you're basically going to fuck yourself over at some point. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
going to just, the bottom's going to fall out. Like that
Yeah.
is not,
House of Cards.
yeah, House of Cards. Yeah, yeah, I like that
Mm-hmm.
analogy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's that?
Yes. So, in the book, and we'll put this in the comments for people to use, but the lifestyle congruence is a pretty basic, simple formula. I'm not going to read it, but I'll show it to you. So, see it right there. Right
Oh,
there.
yeah. There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. So, one of the things that you have to know first is how much money do you need to live on?
Yep.
Yeah.
Seriously, yeah.
You kind of have to know that one. And if you don't know that one, then I can't help you. So you have to figure that one out. And, that could be just like doing an audit of all of your monthly bills and tacking on 10, 20% just as who knows what could happen type
Mm-hmm.
thing. But then what you're going to do is you're going to take that number and then you're going to look at the average reimbursement that you're getting paid per visit, whether it's a therapy visit or any kind of visit, and you're going to divide those lifestyle congruence, average reimbursement, and that's going to be how many sessions you need in a year. And so when you kind of look at it on that macro level of how many sessions you need in a year, then you can take that number of sessions and divide it by the 12 months and get how many you need in an actual month. And then if you want to know more, you just keep dividing it out. One thing I want to just point out here too, and then I'll get your thoughts. In this section of the book, it says lifestyle congruence sometimes means more than just the numbers. It can mean taking a good hard look at the life you are living now versus the life you desire. In some situations, it will mean editing, cutting out the costs that provide little to no value, the things that you continue to pay for even though you rarely use them. It's not about sacrifice necessarily. It's about making necessary adjustments to live the life you want. So whenever you're thinking about your number, the number that you need to live on, it doesn't mean like that you edit everything out and like you cut all of your expenses. It just means that you get a good, accurate representation so that if you do want to change your lifestyle, if you have a goal to change your lifestyle in the next year, then you can be working toward that.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's spot on. I think it's not, the language that comes to mind is like, it's realistic. It's not you scrimping and saving and saying, well, I'm going to get rid of all my expenses. I'm going to be really, really hard. No, it's not that. Like, what's an actual realistic amount of money that you need to bring home on a monthly basis? And it's not aspirational either. It's not, well, I'd love to be making this much money on a monthly basis. That's great. Like, we can get there, but for right now, what's realistic? And also kind of a testament to why you need to do the HH in more than one time, because, well, more than once, more than twice. I mean, consistently, because that number's going to change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the lifestyle congruence core need is really just one to ground us. This is almost just like our basement. This is saying, this is what we have to have. Our ceiling is going to come later when we start looking at the goals and the numbers and the conversions and all of that. But we have to really know where we are at in the moment and what we need so that we can make sure that we're doing at least that much in our practice and setting it up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cool. Any other thoughts on lifestyle congruence that you think people might need to know?
Excuse me. Will you talk a little bit about, I don't know if this is a thought that I think people would like to know, but I'm wondering about, and maybe this isn't where we get into this, but I'm wondering about the formula that you gave and how that translates to having more than one provider.
Yes.
See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think I think I know what you're saying. Okay. So whenever you have more than one provider, it really does change things because I think a lot of it is going to depend on the model that you are using to pay yourself in the company. Mm-hmm. You see what I mean? So it's hard to answer that like with a blanket answer because I know some practice owners with multiple providers who are like paying themselves 100% of the sessions that they are still, providing. Mm-hmm. And so that's going to change everything too. So you have to keep that in mind if that's the model you're using. A lot of practice owners like me, I'm not seeing clients anymore. And so I pay myself a percentage of the gross. And so I would have to run that totally different. I would have to still have to figure out. So let's say if I paid myself, actually, I talk about this, I believe. Mm-hmm. There is an example in the book of Sarah, and Sarah, her problem is that she feels overwhelmed and has started to get burned out. She's unclear on her practice's numbers, and she doesn't know how many billable sessions she needs in order to meet her personal lifestyle congruence. I don't know that Sarah particularly has a group practice at this point in this example, but she does pay herself a percentage of the gross. So Sarah uses the profit first model, and her accountant recommended that she allocate 20% of gross for owner's compensation. So if that's how you're operating it, and I would say most practice owners, I mean, that's the way I would recommend doing it, is to just set a salary, or you can set yourself a salary, but on the big end over here, you're saying, I'm going to take 10% of gross, or I'm going to take 20% or 30% or whatever. Yeah. And then you have to use that in this formula. So for Sarah, what we asked was Sarah needs to figure out how much gross revenue the practice must generate in order for her 20% allocation to equal $100,000 annually, because Sarah needed about $8,300 a month to pay all of her personal bills and all of her lifestyle congruence expenses. And so that equaled out to about $100,000 a year. So what we had to do there is just say, 20% of what number is $100,000, and it's what, 500,000? Yeah.
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 Mhm.
So it really just depends on how you're paying yourself. If you're paying yourself per session, you're going to have to calculate it up per session. If you're paying yourself a percentage of gross in the practice using profit first, then you're going to have to calculate it that way. And so if I were Sarah and I was thinking, okay, my practice is going to have to, in order for me to get $100,000 off of the 20% of gross, which is $500,000, how many sessions am I going to need to have in order to generate $500,000 in the practice? So I would take $500,000, divide that by the average session reimbursement, and that's how many sessions I need. So that's how I would do it.
Yeah, and I think this also kind of indirectly speaks to the, oh my gosh, I just lost it. Speaks to what, Tara?
I don't know, Tara. Maybe you should dance.
Maybe I should dance. I did this the other day behind my son. Did I tell you that? He was like, ha, ha, ha. He's 4.
Oh my God.
He wanted to try it with me.
Please don't make him don't torture that child.
Oh my God. He had fun. Yeah, I don't remember. It was something about, also needing to keep your eye. The only other thing, and then I'm done after this. The only other thing that it makes me think about is having to actually have a sense of, you have to have some data on your business. You have to know some of the information, like what is your average rate? What, and if you have providers, or if you're running something, like you're looking at macro level numbers, okay, look at your P&L and run it where you can see percentages of income. And, so you cannot shy away from your information. How many sessions do you have per month? How far off are you from your goal whenever you figure out, what that number is?
Exactly.
That's all.
I think
I'm done.
And so we call those KPIs, right? Key performance indicators. And it's like one of those things about, I don't know if you ever did this. I know I sure did, but it's like, what is it? An ostrich that sticks their head down in the sand, buries it? Okay. Yeah. Don't
I
be
think
an
so.
ostrich.
I don't know if they literally do it, but yeah, bury your head in the sand.
Yeah. Don't be an ostrich.
Yes.
You have to know your numbers, and you have to be brave enough to just open up that P&L or take a look at those numbers, because they are really scary sometimes. But there's really no way that you can make educated decisions about your business if you don't know what they are. And so one of the things we talk about a lot in this book is how to determine that baseline. You always have to have a baseline, like where are we right now? It's just like any patient that you're going to deal with. If they come into your practice, you're not just going to start treating them. You're going to have to figure out where they're coming in at. Because that's the only way you're going to know if your interventions are actually going to work.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Cool. So a couple things. If you want to learn more about lifestyle congruence, obviously, if you haven't bought the book, please buy the book. If you have read the book, please go review the book, because we are trying to get 100 reviews by next Friday. And I think we have 10. So we need 90 more.
Yeah, you can do it.
We just sent out the email yesterday, so we're just starting. But please go on and write a review on Amazon. You have no idea how much it helps. We really need to be at 100 reviews to be considered a legit thing. So we want to be legit. Also, since Tara is the captain, she's going to be working with people in a few different capacities, both in a group format, some one-on-one coaching. So if this is something that you feel like you need a little bit more help in, or a little bit more assistance, you can just reach out to us, message me or Tara directly on Facebook, and we will send you some next steps and some different offerings that we have coming up. Anything you want to say?
No, I think that's it.
That's it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Lost for words?
I always have more to say, but I'm like, no, I think we're good. This is good. This is good.
Cool.
Good. Yeah.
Okay.
That's exactly right. Super excited.
Yeah. We're going to plan on recording these videos with several of the other core needs of the HHN. So anything that you have questions about, stick it in the comments, and we will make sure to answer those. Also, we have a Fix This Next for Healthcare Providers Facebook group. It's free. If you want to join that, just request access and we'll get you in there.
Do it.
Yes.
That's all.
All right.